Awesome. I just love to start off by saying thank you for being here. It's Inayah, right? That's how you pronounce it.
Yes,
I don't want
it's
to get it
Inayah.
wrong. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Inayah, for being here
No,
and
thank
joining
you
me on the
for having
podcast.
me.
I really do appreciate it. I just want to start off as well by saying I love your aesthetic with the plants. I've seen it so much on your Instagram. I'm a big plant
Thanks.
dude. I just haven't had the opportunity to invest in taking care of them like that.
Oh gosh.
Um,
Yeah. No,
I had a plant. I had a plant. It's behind me now, and one of my friends was in my room, and he dropped it, and there was like mud
Oh
over the
no.
carpet. It was quite a mess.
Oh no.
But I think I felt like I worked so hard on bringing it to where it is, but I guess
Oh
it is what
gosh.
it is.
No, I've very strategically turned that plant over there so you can't see the side that is slowly going brown. So no, I'm the worst plant parent. Yeah, no.
We get to see the good stuff on Instagram, so in
Oh,
our
absolutely.
heads, you're like
Yes.
the best plant parent we'll ever see. So
Yes, totally. Yeah, no, we'll never
I
show
think
you the brown side.
Yeah, but I think, like I was saying, just thank you so much. I appreciate it, taking time out of your schedule to sit down and chat with me.
No,
The
thank you for
podcast
having
isn't
me.
what, yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. The podcast is not what it is without the people that I get to speak to. And
Oh
I think I
gosh,
just love to start off by asking you how you are. How are you
I'm
doing?
good. How about you? In this crazy time.
I'm it's in this crazy time. I'm doing okay. I think for the most part, I just wrote my last exam yesterday. It was on a weekend, which wasn't good.
Oh,
Just to start off
interesting.
with
Oh gosh.
exams and weekend, but I think it went well. I've got my fingers crossed, and I'm hoping for the best.
Good.
But I think it went well. I think it went well. And how are you finding what's going on in the world right now?
Oh gosh, yeah. So we're still in isolation. My parents have both just been ill. So it's been like I've sort of been in a bit of a bubble, to be quite honest with you. I've kind of been even more isolated than we were before, but yeah, we're doing fine now. But yeah, in terms of what's going on, I think it's tricky, in the position that we're in, because you kind of just want to help in any way you can. So we've, sort of been like donating and doing what we can from where we are. But it's been tough for everyone, I think.
No, it definitely has been tough for everybody. It's been a very interesting time to live in. But I think from a creative point of view, has it affected your creativity in any way?
Definitely. So I don't think anyone, I'm a very small fish in the sea of creatives. So but I graduated last week with an architecture degree. But so as a result of that, having just come out from the studying life is 3 years of working, coming out into sort of like the working life in a pandemic has been very interesting, and but has also sort of like really opened up my world, just in terms of having time. I think it makes a big difference. So yeah, I've been kind of enjoying myself in a very selfish way. Just being able to, have more time on my hands. It's really allowed me to sort of like find, where I want my art to go, because I haven't really delved into it for so long. So yeah, don't think it's.
I think
Yeah.
I think I definitely envy you quite a bit because I feel like you have so much time. I can definitely relate in wanting more time to creativity, because I think so much of my time is going to school right now, and I'm just like, it's just a lot. But you mentioned that you had taken time away from art, and was that because of school? And how was it then coming back into it? Did you lose touch with it? Did you have to relearn certain things? How did it feel to not being having to do it, and then finally having all this time to express yourself again?
It felt very, very good. So I've been sort of working full time as well in the architecture world. But yeah, sort of anytime I have at home, I've just been trying to get back into things, and it's been really, really great. I feel like I've really come into my own. Having gone through the whole university experience. And that I think it really gave me sort of the confidence that I needed to be able to put my work out there and start sharing it. It's a lot of the work that I have sort of posted has actually been work that was, from years ago, when I sort of like really got into my work in high school, into like, the whole hyper realism thing. So it's been really nice.
Then my question now would be, off of that, you're mentioning, quite a lot of questions come out of that. But I think the first one would be, you're saying that you did art in high school, but went on to university and college to study architecture. I mean, I know architecture is very much a creative thing in and of itself, but why specifically architecture and not taking art further into tertiary education?
Yeah, right. So fine art is definitely something that I seriously considered. I'd gotten very comfortable in what I was doing in high school and finding my style, finding my, my subject matter that really interested me. But I think as a result of that, I was very set in my ways. I knew what I wanted to do. And I knew that going forward, if I was to do something, in the art field, it would be more centered around, how to like market myself and build a brand, which is, what I'm interested in doing, like, doing some courses in the future. But in terms of actually building technique, there wasn't really anything else that particularly interested me. And I'd rather, spend more time developing what I had started, to be honest. And then in terms of picking architecture, throughout school, I was, obviously art was my safe place, but I was also very interested in, like the academic world, and so I think architecture just seemed like a good marriage of the two for me. I mean, granted, you can get very academic with art, but that's not really like the space I wanted to be in. So I thought that architecture would be an interesting choice, and it was very, very tough, but I absolutely loved it. And
that's what I was going to ask next. Is that how was the experience of studying architecture? Was it anything that you expected, or it exceeded your expectations, or there was a point in time you were like, you know what, maybe I should have picked something else?
Oh gosh, multiple times. Every day I questioned my decision, and to be honest, I think most of us did. It was just very rough, but very rewarding. A lot of learning, and a lot of being thrown in the deep end, but I guess that's how you learn. But it taught me a lot, and I definitely think that a lot of the, the sort of conceptual side of things, a lot of, the informants that you start working with in developing your work, particularly in architecture, really started filtering into my artsy side, and sort of really developed my perspective on the world. I think it really helped me build a good sensitivity to context around me, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's quite. Oh, sorry.
No, you can continue.
No, I was just going to say, I think there was quite an interesting change of mindset between creating the things that fill spaces and creating the spaces themselves.
I love that.
The relationship between the two was quite interesting to navigate. The change in
but
your
now
brain.
You are directly involved in both, right? The places.
To some extent, yes.
Yeah. I think that's pretty cool, actually. That's so profound. But I do think, and I can definitely relate, for me, being in school now and just feeling like, you know what, I wish I was somewhere else. I wish I could be doing something else. But when I really look at it like in perspective, I'm like, everything does happen for a reason, and there are moments throughout this 3 year journey that you can never have learned or experienced if you weren't here. You know, there's certain things that you were saying already you can see and are applying to your art, even though it wasn't directly about art, but there's so much that you can pick out from the experiences and apply into your artistic journey, which I think is super, super cool. Um, but for someone who was doing art since high school, I'm not sure how old you are now, but we can kind of guesstimate high school plus another 3 years of uni, and then now you're here. Why choose only now to start sharing your art? Because I noticed on your Instagram, your first post is only from like 8 Feb this year. Why choose to share your art now?
I honestly just never had the confidence. So a lot of what, you know, going to university and studying architecture in particular is, you know, it's sort of a degree of constantly pitching yourself and your ideas, right? I mean, you know, a lot of different fields are, you know, theory based or you know, learning pre-existing ideas, which architecture is, but you're also generating a lot and you're being judged on what you generate a lot all the time. So it taught me to really start having a lot of intention and conviction in what I'm doing. And, you know, to at some point, you're going to need a certain amount of confidence in yourself and what you're creating. So for anyone else to have to believe in it. So I think that's sort of what I was lacking coming out of high school. I knew what I was doing, but, you know, I think putting your work out there, in my head, my understanding of it in high school was, you know, putting your work out there meant that you thought that it has value, right? And you thought that someone else would find value in it. And I did not have that confidence back then. So it took me, you know, a couple of years to think, you know, maybe someone looking at this on Instagram for like 2 minutes, you know, might enjoy it a little bit. I don't know.
Well, I did, and that led me to reach out to you. Like, come on, your work's good, bruh. your work is actually insane. But it's very understandable at the same time. And I felt that for a long time as well. It's like there was this thing that I was so passionate about, which is making videos. But it's like there's, especially in our modern world with social media, like you constantly are bombarded with really high quality content, and it's coming at you fast. Like 10 different people are posting content every hour, and you're like, how can I keep up? How can I match their level? But I think when you kind of look at it like you're saying, and I really admire what you're saying, it's almost like this mentality of you have to start somewhere, you know. You have to build it up from somewhere, and you have to have that confidence in being satisfied with the completion of your work and not necessarily kind of waiting on people to like your work, you know. So for me, I had to realize that I need not make this for people's positive reaction, because I'm not going to always get it. I need to make it and be satisfied that I completed it, and that's enough for me, you know. That's enough for me. And I think you also mentioned something very interesting about how you get criticized about your work, I guess, in the architecture world, right? Like it has to be the best, it has to be perfect, it has to be really good. And if it's not, you get criticized for it. But I think the internet is kind of like that, in the same way that if you post something and you release something on the internet, on social media, and people don't like it, people have the freedom to say whatever they want with no consequences. Do you not fear that? Are you not afraid, or have you experienced anything like that? But if not, aren't you afraid of growing as a artist? Because I have no doubt in my mind that you will, and then start to experience people who just don't like your work and say whatever they want to say on it.
Well, that's very nice of you to say that you have faith in me. But, yeah, look, I'm still very tiny person in the realm of social media.
You stop saying that? Can you not say you're a tiny fish anymore?
It's the truth.
Because that's not true.
I feel very privileged if anyone in any capacity takes the time out of their day to interact with what I'm doing. I'll take anything. Because as long as someone's engaging with my work, it's making them
Did you just
feel
say you'll
something.
take anything? It took me a minute to process that. So you're saying whether it's good or bad, you're taking it because they're taking time to interact with
Well,
you.
I just mean
That's
in terms of-
insane.
I just mean in terms of someone engaging with my work to the point of, you know, having a thought about it or an opinion about it in that sense.
Okay, I get you.
Yeah, not in terms of you know, verbal abuse over social media, no. But yeah, no, just in that sense. Yeah, I remember getting one comment that was like, it's good, but it's creepy. And I was like, I'll take it. The first half was great. I'll take it. It's good enough for me.
I'll just filter the rest, but the first
Yes,
part's
absolutely.
fine.
We'll cling on to that first half. So that's sort of my attitude, I guess. I think especially with what I do, you put so much time into your work. You get very intimate with one piece of paper for a very long time. That there's very little
that comes back, right?
Yeah, but you know, there's very little that someone can tell you that's gonna sort of change how you think about your work, because you know what I mean. It's so much of, well, you know, this is something that I've struggled with between art and architecture, sort of like separating yourself from your work. You know, like often our lecturers at university would say, you know, when we're criticizing, you know, your work, it's your work, it's not you. Whereas, you know, and that was tough for me at university to grasp. But I think it's very important in art because it's such a subjective thing. You know, it's going to relate to some people aren't going to get it. But yeah, as long as you know, have a very strong intent behind it, you know what it means to you, you know what you would hope it means to others, and if it, you know, resonates with one person out there, great. If other people don't get it, fine.
It's fine.
You know, there's
it's cool by
plenty
me.
more out there for them. I'm not for them, and that's fine. So yeah, I guess that's where I am.
Yeah, I appreciate your vulnerability as well, but I do understand. I think it's very important to have that distinction. I was in a conversation recently with someone else as well, a photographer, and he's like, you know what? I am not my work, and I don't have any feelings attached to my work, which is insane, you know, because for me, I'm very much attached to my work. It's my work. I spend so much time on it. I think, but that's what makes us different and unique as creatives. It's that you come here and you're like, I'm struggling to grasp the concept of separating my work from you know, everything else. It's almost impossible. Like you say, it's a part of you. You spend so much time, so much is invested in this thing, and you produce it, and then you're just like, I should have you know, what's the word? Separate myself from it in terms of my feelings. It's not something that's easy to do, but I think it's something that's necessary to do as you mature as a creative. Can get really hectic, and like you said, not everyone's for your work, and those who are for your work, amen, and those who aren't, well, I hope they find something they enjoy out there, you know.
I think something that I also had to learn over the last year, particularly, you know, delving into the realm of commissions. You know, I find my, you know, happiness in creating, in, you know, in the process, rather than, you know, I've had to sort of learn that the process is for me and the result is for someone out there, whether that's, you know, like, whether that's the person that commissioned the work, or, you know, I put out on Instagram and someone sees it and they resonate with it, or like they find some form of symbolism in it, or, you know, if they can see some element of their life in it. So I think that looking at it that way has helped me a lot, you know, making that distinction between where I am and where my art is. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense.
I dig that. I dig that so much, and it does make sense. It's like the process of making the art. That's for me. That's as personal as it's gonna get, because it's just me and my art and my work, and no one's really around to even fathom or understand what the process is like and how it makes me feel. But once I release it to the world, I can't be involved in terms of or I can't really control how people react to it, and that's fine. That part is for the people that feed into my content, which I love so much. And I think I'm actually gonna put that on a shirt somewhere because I love it so much. I've never actually thought about it that way. I appreciate you sharing that. But you briefly just touched on commissions, and I was actually gonna ask you about that. And then I realized just now, but what I was gonna ask is that how many commissions do you get? Does it get overwhelming? And how do you balance, or did you balance commissions and a full-time job? Because now I realize on your Instagram you said
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I always stayed far away from them because one of the reasons why I got into sort of the hyper realistic thing is because of like a real love of photography that I've had from when I was very little.
Okay.
And so I like creating from the very first step, which is, setting up whatever needs to be set up, like finding the person, like manipulating the lighting. Okay, I love the drawing part too. But actually, that initial, you have your idea, you get like, your model, whatever, all of those little things, and, editing images. I absolutely adore that. So it was quite tough for me to think of commissions because, you have no control. Someone sends you an image. Obviously you have you have your control in terms of, how you're going to represent what you see, but you don't have control over what was captured, right? So that was tough for me. Why I initially started commissions was I rescued a dog during lockdown, and I really wanted to do work with the rescue that we got him from, and I thought it would be quite interesting to team up with them and do some pet portraits, which was quite a nice way for me to ease myself back into art, and also for me to start like sharing work and making connections. So that's sort of why that came about, and then I got a couple off the back of that, and then closed them as you pointed out on my Instagram, because as much as I enjoyed it, I think there's a time you go through funny stages as an artist, in that at that point I was still sort of like lacking maybe inspiration. Didn't really know which way I wanted to go in terms of what I was drawing, but as I started to draw through commissions, I was just getting so many ideas, and my mom kept laughing at me because like I would be halfway through a drawing, and then like she'd see me busy like sketching something or like doing a collage or something else, and I was like, Mom, I'm like artistically frustrated, like you don't understand. I have all these ideas and I want to get them out.
That is funny.
So I was like, funny. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't do the commissions thing again. I would, I'd love to to take on a couple in the future. Particularly, I really enjoyed when they really like meant something to someone, or it was like it was quite special. It's a special
thing. Can I commission you? Can I commission you? Just behind the scenes, no one needs to know.
But no, it was a very special thing, because it feels you feel quite privileged for someone to want you to capture often something or some animal that's very special to them, and also for someone to hang that in their home. That's a big thing. Something that you create is like in someone's space, and provides some sense of nostalgia for someone. That was like quite a cool feeling. But yeah, no, I'm back to just getting all my ideas out. Yeah.
But I love that the concept of starting from scratch, being the one that takes the photo from the beginning, setting it all up, directing your subjects, manipulating the light, Do you actually take photos personally? Do you have a camera?
I do, yes. I was like an avid. I really thought that was what I was gonna do. My mom.
What the heck, Inayah? What haven't you done? Like, hold up, relax. Let's just back it up.
my mom was very into photography. When she was younger, when I was growing up, and it was always a very big. We did quite a lot of traveling when I was little. And I was just always, I always had a camera in my hand from very little. And was I particularly good at it? Probably not. But I'd collect my cameras. I'd go like find them at all sorts of places. And yeah, but I think that, that definitely, I mean, I'm not that, person who's like, yeah, I was drawing, the most real looking dog at the age of 3. No. But I was always, surrounded by some form of a creative outlet, and my parents really, really encouraged that. And I think that photography thing really helped me develop an eye in some sense, and just a love of like detail and capturing things, which is, I guess, what I'm trying to achieve with my drawing. So yeah.
Yeah, and I was actually going to ask that. Was going to be one of my questions is, what was childhood like, either creatively or not creatively? Because what you tend to realize, not always the case, that a lot of people who grow up and really feed into this creativity thing when they're older is because there was a lot of influence when they were younger. So I appreciate you sharing that. Is that your mom was into photography and your parents actually encouraged you to do that sort of thing. And I think a round of applause to mom and dad for that.
Absolutely.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think
that's really cool.
The greatest gift you can get is, just exposure, to be honest, to, as much as they can show you, so that you can sort of, find your way. I think that was a big privilege to be able to have. But it wasn't like I was winning awards when I was 10. I think they could just see that I, in my free time, like I was not playing with my little dolls or whatever as much as I enjoyed them with my friends. Like I was, I had like drawing books and activity books, and I was building things and creating things. And I don't know if you ever played with planks, but like planks was my favorite thing.
So you've been into it since it's in your blood, since you were just a little kid.
I think I was just always trying to find things to make, basically. And I did everything. I played multiple instruments. I played I tried every sport. I was just very interested in doing things. And after all of that, settled down into the creative realm of things. But yeah, I think. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you can speak.
I'm just babbling.
No.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. That's what this podcast is about. It's about people chatting. It's about creatives letting it all out. And I love that you have a lot to say. But I think, speaking on the topic of building things and creating things and wanting to build things and create things, what are you trying to build with the brand Inayah.Art? Is it a brand? Do you consider it a brand? Do you consider it something separate from yourself? But whatever the case, what's your dream for your art and the brand? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that everyone. I don't know if people start endeavors, if you will. Necessarily. I mean, not everyone having a set goal, but so I don't know if you've seen recently, I started another account.
Yes, I was going to ask about that. Why are you doing this? You keep saying things that I'm going to ask.
Oh, sorry.
Oh man, come on.
But, so
I'm just going to leave. And then you can
let
just
me
let yourself speak. And then... Okay, you can continue.
It's quite funny. I don't know why I have so much to say, because usually I'm a very quiet person. Just give me talking
I don't
about
think so.
and I
I
can
don't
keep
think
going.
so.
But yeah, so no, just in terms of building brands, I think I started my drawing page just to to put myself out there a little bit, test the waters, see what like clicked with people, what didn't. And then so recently, because of working full time, I haven't had as much time to sit down with like a huge piece of paper and the whole long process, because it's a long process and it's it takes a lot of time. So, but again, I've been artistically frustrated and I wanted to do something. And collaging has been a way that I've really built my ideas for a very long time. Even, just in terms of process, before I would start like a big charcoal drawing, I would do little collages to figure out where my head was at and what I wanted to portray.
You're very methodical. Dang. I'm impressed.
Oh gosh,
wow.
No, I'm all over the place. But so recently, being in isolation, I needed something to do, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna really hone in on cutting out little pieces of paper and putting them together, and that's what I did. And
I love it so much.
Thanks.
I actually love it so much. I've gone through the page and wow.
Thank you. But
it gives me chills. It gives me chills.
Oh gosh. And it's such a basic way of working, but I think that just it can mean so much in terms of you're making completely unrelated things relate in some way, and there's a lot of meaning and symbolism within that. But back to your question, that is a page that I'm treating more like a brand, and it's something that I want to really develop into having a consistent visual language, something that whereas my other one is more like, this is my process, this is my tools, this is how, what I mean. So I think I would love for my drawing page to develop into something more maybe educational, I guess. I mean, granted, I have no qualification.
Experience is the best teacher, so all this experience you're getting now, I think you're more than qualified to give us a tip or two.
But I would love for to be able to that sort of. But in terms of long term, I'm not sure if that was included in your question. But I think I would just really love to continue to create things that people find value in, and that could hopefully find a place in their home. I don't know about you, but for some reason I the art in our house and the art and of our family and whatever, for some reason just very nostalgic to me, and I can associate a lot with it. I don't know, I just think it's quite a special thing to take up space in someone's house or wherever. Anyways, so that's
it's really true, and I don't think I've ever walked into a house without any kind of art hanging or displayed somewhere, either like it's a sculpture or painting or photograph. There's always something there. So I think being a creative, there's always an opportunity to make an impact in someone's life, long term. And I think that's really, really cool. I think that's really amazing. I'm just gonna go out here and say that your videos, your Instagram reels, we just need more of that, please. I know you've got a full-time job now and whatnot, but it's like you learned it. It's like you learned how to take videos and edit. No, like straight up. I'll have to show people, and they can see it for themselves. It's just not hype. Like, it's really visually satisfying. Where did you learn to take videos? Where did you learn to edit videos? And like, what's all?
Oh gosh, I think it just goes back to the photography thing, to be honest. I think it's very interesting to capture a process and do it in a way that is, somewhat, I don't know, this sounds very dramatic, but it's somewhat art in itself, in terms of, composition and how you it's quite like a thing to film a whole, it seems like a quick little video, but, a lot goes into it, that I completely took for granted. Other people make the most beautiful, reels, work on Instagram, and I think, it's in this short form content that you see online often now, you completely miss, how much work goes into it. It takes a long time.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, but it was just trial and error. I think.
No, but I think the trial was a success. I think from my standpoint, if it's worth anything whatsoever, I really do love your Instagram. It was just the process of you taking us through how you make art, and like you're saying, it's so much. I definitely can see the amount of work you put in because it's all the different angles. Like you have to set up your camera and make sure that you're in frame, and then walk back and then record, and then come back and check if it's correct, and then if it's not, you reposition it. And I'm like, I just don't have the energy to do that kind of thing. I would never be able. I would never be able. So I really do applaud people who really do take time to make such content for us because, like you're saying, it's 30 seconds on Instagram, but 3 days of work, and we really appreciate how much work goes in to entertaining us and keeping us on our toes and visually satisfied. So thank you so much for that. And we hope to see more of that on your Instagram for sure.
I'm not sure how much time we have. I'm sorry, I keep babbling, but can we keep going?
Oh no, for sure
Okay,
we can.
cool.
There's plenty time. Like I said, 5 hours. I don't know if your phone's got enough memory for a 5 hour chat.
I'm very surprised I haven't seen a notification.
We've only been talking for 10 minutes, so we've got about 5 hours and 10 more minutes to go.
But just a point on the whole Instagram thing. I think something that I was very, very cautious about, particularly delving into the world of social media, is, I didn't want to have to overthink things. I didn't want it to, we as artists, I'm sure you can relate. We creating is sort of like vital, right? Like you don't have a choice. You have to create. It's like, you're sad when you don't. And, when you don't, it's all you think about. And I didn't want to use... Sorry?
I said, that's so true. I was in an exam the other day and I was like, why am I doing this? I should be making art.
Yeah. No, I could be filming. I should be filming.
I should be filming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to lose that joy. And, I don't want to have to think, oh, like the sun's going down. Oh no, I can't film. I can't draw. You know what I mean? Like, so I didn't want to lose that, and I had to be very aware of what I was wanting to capture, and when I just wanted to sit and draw and not have to think about anything and have that be fine, because I think it's just this thing that probably everyone struggles with, which is like, I should be super consistent and I need to post more regularly.
This unsaid pressure.
Yes, completely. But at the end of the day, I don't want to lose that joy, because if I do and I start becoming, robotic, I guess, in like the way that I move, whatever I create isn't going to be as good as it would have been, had I just done it just purely for the sake of needing to and wanting to,
I love that. And that's such a hot topic here on the podcast, something we've talked about a lot. It's the concept of starting out something and being so pure and genuine. I think we see it even in, bigger people, bigger creative people, when they start off small and it's super genuine and it's for the love and passion of it. And then it turns more into a business and a brand, and they kind of lose that genuine side of making art. And even behind the scenes, they're not so happy, and they come out and they're talking about, I'm not enjoying this anymore. It's too much, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, how did you go from something you love, something you're passionate about, something that was an escape to,
to being trapped by it. Yes.
Struggling to wake up and do it on a daily basis. And it was once something you couldn't stop thinking about. Now it's something you just want to break from. So I think you coming into it with this mentality, that's very good. And I think now the task is maintaining that mentality, because, like I said earlier, inevitably you will grow, you will learn things, and people will start to reach out and see things, and it's going to be like, where do I draw the line, and how do I ensure I protect myself mentally, emotionally, to ensure that this remains an escape for me. It doesn't become too much of a chore or something that I begin to hate. So I love your mentality walking into this social media Instagram thing.
Oh gosh, it's a scary world, isn't it?
It definitely is. And I think I mentioned it already as well. For me, I don't know if you struggle with it or other people do struggle with it, but it's the concept of just seeing so much content. Like I consume so much content generally as an individual. And for me, it's like, I see it and I'm like, bro, you're slacking. Like, what are you doing? Come on, pick yourself up and push. But when I work with that mentality, when I do work on that basis, I never leave fulfilled and satisfied. But when I pace myself and I really tap into what I'm feeling and what I want to express, and I finish that, I'm like, okay, now that's a much better feeling. And I'd rather feel that way with one video or one photograph or one project than feel miserable after 10 projects. Like
absolutely,
it's not.
Yes.
It's not a vibe.
And it translates to your work as well. Like people will be able to tell if you're enjoying what you're doing or not. I don't think it's something that you can hide. Yeah, you can't hide burnout.
And how do you deal with burnout? That's actually a question I've asked before. I know I've struggled with it. What I did was just take time out. I took a whole solid month off creativity, and I came back like it's this new thing. And I was like, oh wow, like a kid in a candy store. I think for me that helped because it can get a little bit overwhelming. So the discipline of just like giving yourself some break for me is what works. How do you deal with burnout and how do you bounce back from it or avoid it? Can you avoid it? I don't know. Can you?
I think you can, but I think with any okay, I mean, I think artists to some degree have a little bit of crazy in it. Might just be talking for myself here.
Oh, wow.
But just in terms of, I mean, you develop your skill. I mean, people always say like, oh, the person's like naturally, you have a talent, blah blah blah. But like, no, you artists with whatever you're doing, whatever technique, it's a skill, and you develop it through pursuit, and often that is fueled by somewhat of an obsession, right? Like you just want to like learn and you want to experiment, whatever. But so in some ways, I do think that burnout is inevitable just because of that nature, of it. But go for a walk. I don't know.
No, tell us what you do. Tell us what you do. How do you
I go for a walk. I really do. I walk the dog or whatever. I just go outside or, I mean, that's just short-term things. But I don't think you're always going to find your way back. I think one of the best things for me has been to do something creative that isn't the thing that burnt me out. Right?
Okay.
Go and cook. I don't know,
like you said,
find a new recipe.
So to take a break from creativity, you stay creative. That's what you're basically saying.
Yes. Yeah. That's
insane.
What has worked for me. To be honest, that sounds really.
But I love it.
But
I love it.
You're still in the realm of things, but you haven't completely jumped ship. That's sort of what works for me. But yeah, and also I think another thing that architecture really taught me, right, is it's a degree that requires a certain level of creativity, and that creativity can very easily run out. But it also is a degree, so you have to get work done, and it just teaches you like discipline. Like you don't have a choice. At some point, you need an idea. You have to have an idea. So I think it really taught me to, even when you're burnt out, you can't think of anything. Just sit down and do something, whether it's good or not, doesn't matter. Like you will either progress from it. It might be great. You'll take something from it, right? You'll learn something from it. So I think I just had to teach myself that, like, just sit down and do. I mean, take all the breaks you need, right? But, for something like that, I think most of us, particularly if you, are earning an income or what you're doing, you have to get work done. So for me, I think it was just, sitting down with with either the thing that burnt me out or anything creative and doing. Because, I mean, obviously, if you're not enjoying something, don't, push it to the point. Yeah. No, absolutely not. But I do think there is value in doing, because I think avoiding it sometimes isn't going to help. Because often, I would struggle with something, blah, 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 take a break, walk away, come back, sit again, try, and start enjoying it again, So, yeah, I mean, to each their own.
It's true, and I think I love that what you're talking about. Sometimes shoving it off and throwing it in the back isn't always a good thing. Because like you say, things need to get done, especially if you're like earning an income with whatever creative thing you're doing. Things need to get done. So it's almost a concept of denying yourself and being disciplined. So feeling one thing, but knowing you have to do something. So I don't feel like doing it, but I know I need to do it. I think it also takes a huge amount of maturity to be able to make decisions like that. Like I don't feel like, but it's like I need to. I know I have to, and then you go on to do it still, even though you don't feel like it. But not to a point where it messes you up mentally and emotionally. Like know when to draw the line, know when to draw the line, know when to take a break as well. But I appreciate you saying that. I've actually never thought about it that way, which is super cool. I always come out of these conversations learning so much. I think it's really cool.
It's so cool what you're doing, by the way.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much.
I remember, I think the first time I found you on Instagram or something, I had a squiz through and I watched a couple of episodes, and it's like so cool because, Instagram is like so, perfect, and you see like, the, what does everyone call it? Like the highlight reel, whatever, of someone's, life or artistic life, whatever. But it's been very, very cool to listen to other people. And I think you've been incredible at like connecting with people and bringing that out. So
thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot. And I think that is the idea, is to kind of tap into these unique minds. Like, every time, everyone's different. Like we can take another charcoal artist who's doing realistic, pieces just like you are, but you sit down and talk to them and you learn completely different things, which I think is super insane. And for me, it's people. That's where all the gold is. It's in people's minds, to tap into that, knowledge that's not so much in books, and get to learn from people's real life experiences. And I'm grateful for the podcast and everyone who's graciously taken an opportunity to come onto the show as well. So thank you. Appreciate it.
I have a question for you, actually.
Okay, ask away.
Do you mind? No, so I mean, I have my own, thought about it, but just in terms of, I consume a lot of, podcasts and long form content, right? Because, in your daily life, like I either want to learn something or I want to be entertained, right? That's sort of like why people, consume content, I think, for the most part. But, in a world where short form, in the form of, I don't know, TikTok, Instagram Reels, everything's very quick, everything's very short, and a lot of information is communicated very quickly. What to you is the value in, the long form format of doing things? I don't know.
I think I was watching a video recently, actually, one of the YouTubers that I follow, and he was actually talking about something very similar. It's that I think the world is so fast now, like it's so much faster, that people definitely are opting for shorter form content. They want to see something for 10 seconds and move on to the next thing. And you've seen almost every social media platform adopt a version of some kind of short form content. So Instagram did it with their reels, and then YouTube did it with their shorts. I don't know if you've seen it on YouTube as well, but they've got a segment where they show short form content. But for me, I think there's a world for both. But if you're going to produce long form content. This is just my perspective. Just nothing about what I'm about to say is be all end all or is the way. I think it has to produce some kind of value, you know. I think people should be able, it's, I don't know how to explain it, but it, I definitely prefer long form content. I think
Same.
there's a world for short form content, but for me, that lasts a very short time. I can't really sit through it for a long period of time. And it's almost like an on the fly, on the go kind of thing. If I'm waiting for something, if I'm like in the kitchen and I'm boiling water for coffee, and then I'm there, you know, scrolling through that stuff. But if I really want to engage and learn something, it's definitely long form content for me. But the world in itself is very huge. I mean, there's billions of people. So whatever you choose to do, even if your long form content is not particularly informative, there's a market for that. Believe it or not, you know. I've seen people who are vlogging and they post vlogs on YouTube that are 1 hour and 30 minutes long. It's a vlog. Like there's nothing serious going on. This guy's vlogging for 1 hour and 30 minutes.
And people love it.
And people love it. And people love it. That's the beauty of social media and the internet, is that no matter where you are in the world, people are able to connect you from different parts of the world and love what you're doing, you know, even whether it's orthodox or unorthodox. So I definitely do think there's a world and space for everything. Because it's there already, it means that there's a demand for it, you know. So I think don't shy away from trying to adopt a different kind of style because you feel like this is what's it. There's definitely a market for whatever it is that you're doing. I think my focus would be on making it as best as I can, which is very difficult because and unique, best and unique as well. Like, but it's difficult because there's so many people creating at the same time. And I keep saying this, but I'm constantly bombarded with content. I'm like, I wish my work could be like this guy's work. But I mean, this dude's been in the business for 5 years, 6 years. I'm 2 years in. I can't possibly compare my work to his, you know. So it's kind of the stay in your lane mentality. It's not like don't consume content from other people. Definitely learn and acquire knowledge from others. But there's a market for everyone. There's definitely a market for everyone. And I think the more different that it is, the more intrigued people are. Like, why would you make a vlog for 1 hour, 30 minutes long? What is in it? And then people sit through 1 hour, 30 minutes and realize there's really nothing much to it. Okay.
Okay,
I was just gonna ask you what your biggest joy about this whole journey has been. Two things: biggest joy, biggest lesson. So, what's the one thing you learned about being in this creative space, going through this journey of architecture at university, and what do you find the most joy in about all of this?
Which one do you want first?
Biggest lesson. Let's go with biggest lesson first, and then we
biggest lesson
with some happiness.
Biggest lesson is that
Take your time. Your memory is just about to run out. Just sit there and think.
Okay. Biggest lesson: if you find value in your work, there is someone else out there that will too. I think that's my biggest lesson.
I love that. I love that.
Biggest joy, right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest joy. Process. I think I said this already.
Okay.
Am I allowed to copy paste?
No, you are not. Before? You are not allowed to copy paste. The rules of the game are you are not. I'm kidding. I'm playing.
But yeah, biggest joy definitely process and just getting things from my head to a piece of paper. Biggest joy. Yeah.
I love that.
I think.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for being vulnerable. Again, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to sit down and chat with me.
No, thank you for having me.
It's
little
been...
fish. Thank you.
The little fish. I appreciate it so much. Like, you have no idea how much it means to me. And I hope that one day, like on a serious note, that I can get to commission you and you can take a photo of me.
Gosh.
And then you can draw me. Then I can hang
one of your
somewhere.
photos. That would be
really dope.
We can do a collab.
Yes,
That would be very cool.
please. Let's go. I love it so much. Thank you, Inayah. It's been such
No
an honor.
problem. Thank you for having me. I hope I said something of value.
No, you definitely did. You definitely did.
You
You
have
said a
like
lot.
amazing people on here, and I was like, oh god, I have nothing to teach anyone.
Now there's another amazing person that's going to be added to the list. It's just
Oh,
amazing
gosh.
people all around. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.